Welcome to France. We decided to come down to the Cannes Boat Show because 4401 is here, and the sea trials for that boat start immediately after the show. So that's actually why we're here. And the boat show, well, that's kind of a bonus because we've got a new boat to outfit, and there's really nowhere better to do that than a boat show. So we're going to stop in and see some of the systems that are going to be on the boat, be able to ask some questions, see what they look like, not installed on the boat, talk to the engineers and the owners and all that kind of stuff, but then also look for fenders and safety equipment and so many other little accessories and things that we're going to need for the boat. So it's going to be a long day. Let's get to it. Gotten a bazillion questions of which tender are you getting. Here we go, spoiler alert. We officially have gone with the ZeroJet, which you probably remember from our video. We had entirely too much fun to not get the ZeroJet. So I'm looking forward to having my cheeks hurt again from smiling so much. My cheeks are starting to hurt. Okay. What we saw was like version 1. This is now version 2, or is it even version 2?
Maybe a few more ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's exactly what we're going to have, which is why we're stopping by. We're going to talk to Neil here, and he's going to kind of run us through all the new bits.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. More
right.
than happy to. It's got a tiller steer setup like what you have on a normal outboard. There's an on-off button on the beginning of it. That's new as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So that just turns on there. You have your normal standard kill cord on the side of it. We've incorporated a reverse system on the side of the lever here with a little safety latch, so that just pops down. You'll see on the ladder on the back here. And then under the side here we have 2 batteries. So we have a battery box here, and there's a battery box on the other side. So we really try to aim to utilize the space in the OC, which is what the OC is so well known for. So you can see it's a completely open boat inside, lots of cargo space. And as far as the system's reliability and components and things, we use large amphenol connectors and big plugs. These are $400 connectors and plugs because you're running an electric boat in the worst environments. You want it to be looked after and work well. The system itself, should I open the lid and have a look underneath?
Yeah, this has changed quite significantly, just like visuals and function, and I do really like it. It's a nice improvement. It seems like it's maybe even a bit longer.
Yes, because it was a bit short before. It's actually you gave the feedback from, you put a seat next to it, I think.
Yes, yeah. So that's why I was looking. I was like, my seat is not going to be like perfect position for that. So that's great.
So I'll pop the lid off. So that is our 20 horsepower jet system. The motor inverter or controller is underneath this. We have a coolant reservoir and our 20 horsepower motor. The motor was built and designed by us. We can run 400 amps of continuous current through this, and the motor gets to 40 degrees Celsius, which is really cool. There's a heat exchanger underneath, and so you have a full closed loop cooling system. Coolant's pumped from here, through the motor controller, into the heat exchanger, and back into the tank. So you don't have challenges of salt water or dirty muck or anything going through it like you have on jet skis or traditional type of jets.
Which is a really good point, because that's like the first thing whenever we were talking about this system. A lot of the feedback we got, people like, oh, but jet systems are so bad, you're going to get so much stuff sucked up into there. And that is the biggest difference between, like, say, a jet ski and this system, is you just don't have that worry anymore.
Yeah, you're 100% right with that. And we get a lot of questions from people saying, what happens if I'm sucking up seaweed or plastic bags or rubbish or rope? They do suck things up, and it does occasionally happen. We've really tried to make it as easy for the user to look after the system on that side. So underneath there's a really big intake grate, so we've increased the size of this to basically minimize the chance of anything getting in there. But say worst case scenario, you do suck up a rogue fishing line or some rope that's sitting around, the entire jet pump at the back removes with little as 4 bolts. So you need 1 spanner and you can remove the whole pump. Nikki would be able to do it on the side of the beach in probably 10 minutes. We've tried to look after these things because boats do break down, and they break down on the worst places.
Yeah.
To service this, you need a set of Allen keys and a 13mm spanner, and between those, that's all you need.
That's like the smallest repair kit we'll have on the boat. Biggest thing for us is just like from a safety standpoint, like you just don't have a propeller back there anymore. You're never going to worry about hitting a fish or a whale or a human or just reef. Like there's just, you're not going to damage anything along the way, and also just no more propeller to look after, which is also kind of nice. So the ZeroJet is obviously the propulsion. You can get this on other boats, like they also put ZeroJet into high fields. OC is the tender. So you might remember we visited Russ and Corinne at the factory there in New Zealand. So this is all Kiwi ingenuity. I dig that. There's also been some other improvements. So how fast?
Top speed's 20 knots.
Okay, so that hasn't changed much. We did 1920 before.
Yes, you did 1920 before, but we've increased the efficiency of the system. So we're now getting about 30% more runtime than we have in the past. So the jet is a lot more efficient, the entire electronics, the motor, the whole package is just a much better setup. So for the same size battery, you're going another 30% further in range.
Just in efficiencies through
Just in efficiencies.
the machine. That's incredible, because we were already cranking at almost 19 knots during our testing, and we had 2 hours, I think. That's pretty incredible. I still have yet to find anything that will give me that kind of range. So good job.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm super stoked. I get very giddy talking about it because it's so close. Yeah. How long to recharge?
Recharge time on the 5 kilowatt-hour packs on the OC package here is 2.5 hours. That's from 0 to 100%. So if you're charging from 50, you know, that last, most people are going to be topping up, not doing full charges. You might be doing a lot more of those.
Yeah.
But you're 2.5 hours from completely empty to full.
And our game plan is right in that aft seat. That's where our charging port's going to be, and we're also getting a set of spare batteries so that we can always have one ready to go, and we can do a swap out anytime we need.
We've also now built in that when you get down to 20%, the boat will drop down to 5 knots speed, and this gives you an extended range at 5 knots. So for those customers that have range anxiety and how far can I go? When your boat slows down to 5 knots, you've got at least 2 nautical miles of range to basically make it back to your mothership. So just here is a small display for the user. The user can choose where you want to mount that.
Yeah, like we're talking about putting ours maybe on the back transom, because you don't have to look at it all the time. It's more just like looking at your fuel tank. You don't look at your fuel tank all the time.
Exactly, yeah. You can lock the boat with that so no one can pinch the boat when you're going away.
That's also good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's a new feature. And we also have kids mode. There's a secret window you can go into, and you can set a speed restriction or a power limit.
For some reason, I think that won't be limited to kids. He's been known to put a governor on me before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, all right, let's turn you down.
Let's turn that down. I'll show you where the secret window is.
Okay, good.
But the other things, I suppose, is just it's a 48 volt system, so it's nice and safe. You don't have to worry about anything, in there. You can flood the boat and stand in it, and you're safe.
Yeah, because we have been known to accidentally leave the boat at a dock during a major rainstorm.
Yep.
Fill her up.
Yes.
And then have to bail her out later. Yes. But yeah, we can do that with this system. We won't have to worry about it. If you somehow magically, because we tried desperately to turn this thing over and couldn't get it to flip, but if you were, it's still not going to kill your system.
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm excited for you to get your boat. It's been a long time coming.
We're at Fendertex, and these guys are doing our fenders, and it's our first time to see them. We've heard good things about them. How can they be so strong but yet so lightweight?
We had 4 years to develop this product. So this fender is made in technical textiles. It's a unique knitting that we developed. We have our own machine, our own thread, and it's a tubular knitting. There is no seam, no wheel. That's why when it's in compression, it's a whole thing which is working all together.
Ah, okay, so there's no seam inside or on the top.
Inside, after, it's just a bladder. That's it. In polyurethane, it's just made to retain the air, to keep the air inside. That's it. All the technology is on the textile parts.
So we're in a 44-foot catamaran.
Yeah.
What size fenders should we be looking for?
For the catamaran, we always recommend a bit bigger because of the freeboard, but in compression, you can go with a fender from 800 with a diameter.
You'll have to show me, because metric in me is... So, like, if I was just guessing, I would think maybe this size?
Yeah, this size would be the perfect for me because of the freeboard, but in compression, even this one will work. So then after, it's up to the people which use them. On my boat, I would put this one, so same as this one. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
And then the other thing that I was worried about was getting too far away from the dock.
Yeah.
And then I see you have these flat ones, but I think you recommended we don't go with those? Or what are these for?
Those are complementary fenders. You can use them mostly horizontally because you have two attached to handle them nicely. This one we recommend it to put one on your tender, so like that you avoid to have your tender on the hull and to avoid any mark. Also it can be at the stern for really specific using when you don't have the space to add a really cylindrical or spherical. It's always better to have a protection. Okay. But on the side, I wouldn't recommend this one, only this one, yeah.
And then we talked about our transom is kind of unique. and we were hoping to get an inflatable, but you recommended maybe go with just a foam design.
Yeah, exactly. Inflatable is really nice for storage and everything is perfect, but sometimes you're not able to do everything with inflatable. And as you can see, yeah, and with our technology, angle are really difficult to protect with inflatable. That's why we are working also with foam protection.
How compact does this fender become for storage?
I can show you if you want. So you have a really standard fitting, standard valve to be able to inflate with any pump. And then when you need to store them away, you just deflate them.
That's awesome. Look at that. These shoes will have so much more locker space now for toys. And then the D-rings, you can see they're covered in fabric as well. So they're really sharp. We're thinking about going with like a custom design, and they've got a few designs over here. Oh, that's like, there's endless possibilities.
Yeah, we can reproduce boat name, logo. You just have to send us your logo and we'll be able to reproduce it.
And there's no
in
stitching?
the fabric. No.
There's no stitching to like damage the paint?
No. It's the same serge used for the cover as the fender, and you have a warranty on the color, 3 years, no fading. Even after the 3 years, what is good with this fender is that the inner bladder inside is completely independent from the textile parts. You can change just the inner bladder, so you can repair it on board by yourself. If you're doing a big trip, you can just have a spare bladder, so like that you can repair your fender. In 5 minutes it's ready. Yeah, quick.
Excellent. And then also for a catamaran, you were recommending maybe some balls. So it would be some long ones.
Yeah, it depends of the shape of your hull and everything, and also the using. But
Because ours does
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is it just because it's further away from the dock?
Because it's always good to have all your fender with about the same pressure. It's good to share the force of the compression on every fenders. Yeah.
I see. So you get a bigger ball, so it fills the space better. And also for, I've been told, for like springing off of the dock, it can help because the balls don't roll the same as a...
Yeah, exactly. This one doesn't roll because they're a bit flat, it's not completely spherical. And also it's good because you always have a big round fender when you arrive on the dock, and so like that you can also use it when you to be able to.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've been focused on mostly components and boat parts and other things, but there is one boat that I feel like if I don't show you, you'd be really disappointed in me. So, one quick stop. All right, so there's a brand new release at HH. Tell me about the 80.
We've been actively working with some clients, and after finishing the 88, which is a very luxury, full-blown, almost a hotel, but it's carbon and it sells well. Our clients have come to us and said, we love it, but we want more performance. And so in response to that, we've created this new HH80. She's a beautiful, beautiful boat.
Yeah, the first thing that I noticed when I saw this is she definitely looks like an HH, you know, but also very different. The lines have changed. The layout is very different from the other models. So James, you were a big hand in designing this, so tell me a little bit about what the concept of this boat is.
On a boat like this, you have to sail, you have a crew, you have a captain, and they're going to live on the boat. They might have a chef, and so we tried to create as many private spaces on the boat to give people privacy away from the crew and allow the crew to operate the boat without necessarily interacting or disturbing the guests on board, because they're basically living together if they're living on the boat. And so the most obvious thing is what we're calling the sky lounges, which are these continuation of the forward cockpit up onto the side decks. And that gives you the living space of a flybridge without taking away the performance from the boat. So we can keep the boom low for maximum sail area. We remove all that weight from the top of the cabin top. And it's a lovely place to hang out.
And one thing that stands out to me looking at this model from the aft is these gigantic windows. Is there a door?
Yeah, there's 2 sliding doors which open up into the VIP guest cabins at the back. So the guests have their decks at the back where they can sit there privately and enjoy the view of the bay.
What are we expecting performance-wise out of this?
This is a collaboration between Morelli and Melbourne, who we've worked with for many of our models, who are wonderful naval architects. So they'll be doing the naval architecture, and collaboration with James Head and HH Catamarans with a lot of the styling, layouts, and of course all the system design, which is very complex on a boat like this. Performance-wise, yeah, it should be well, I'll let the designer tell us.
Yeah, I mean, we want this boat to be able to compete with the fastest 80-foot catamarans, cruising catamarans that are out there. So it will sail much faster than the wind. You'll be able to do over 30 knots if you want.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. In regards to the systems, yeah, it's going to have our Eco Drive, so 250 horsepower Yanmars with the Eco Drive fitted, and then also a separate 20 kilowatt AC generator to power the boat, and a massive lithium battery bank. I think we've got 16 lithium ion batteries.
Have you been able to calculate how much solar you're going to be able to fit on this boat?
Up to 11 kilowatts on the cabin top. Yeah, and we're exploring some other ideas to boost that further, but we'll
you get to save that for another day. Okay, well, I'm curious now what the heck that is. You can't tease stuff like that.
One of the important features this boat's going to have is the whole glass front. Leading from the salon into the sky lounge in the front, it's just curved glass right across the beam of the boat.
So this seems a bit like a theme as well, right? Like visuals. No matter where you are in the vessel, you've always got a great view.
Yeah, we fit a lot of push-button sailing controls on the boat. What that means is you have these really awesome aft helms where the owner can sail the boat himself and really enjoy it. And then in bad weather, the whole boat can be steered from inside, from the nav station, and also the sails can be trimmed from inside. So the visibility is an important part of that, so you can see what you're doing.
Cool. Well, thank you. I'm excited to see it. It just feels like it's going to be a bit of a wait.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is cool. I can count on one hand how many boat shows we've been to. So we don't exactly have a lot of experience, but this show seems huge. It's even spread out between 2 different ports. And if there's one thing that we've learned with our limited experience, it's don't try to cram everything into one day. We make a few stops, gather information, and let it all sink in. Otherwise, we don't remember half of what we learned. We're here at Schenker, which is going to be our Watermaker aboard our 44. This is Fabian, and he is going to, we've kind of put him on the spot because now I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions that I have, trying to get familiar with this Watermaker because it is very different than the last one we had. So before we had a Cruise RO 40 gallons per hour. It was great, but we did have to run our generator in order to have the Watermaker. And so our whole upgrade plan was always we wanted to be able to run it off of the battery bank. That was going to be our next thing, right? But well, then we sold the boat. Now we got a new boat. New boat comes with this. So this does run off of our battery bank. And you were explaining how to use the Watermaker, which is really hard to get around because you think you want, really high capacity. And you're saying no, that we want lower capacity and we need to run it more often.
Yes, it's more healthy for the system to run and keep working constantly instead to have a huge production and few days without operation.
So you were saying run it every single day. Yeah. And that way, and then you never need to flush the system because the water is always being, it doesn't have time to grow bacteria. So now my question is, what happens when I'm in really silty or cloudy water or something like that? Because it does clog the filters up a lot faster.
Yes, just the 5 micron filters, that is the first filter you have in the line, is going to take all the dirties out from the water. So you need just to replace a small cartridge.
Okay.
Simple to find, cheap.
And is it possible to like just take it out and rinse it and reuse it, or is that bad?
Yeah, in emergency or just for limited time, you can do it.
Okay.
But every time the filter will last for less time. Let's say 100 hours, then 30, 10, 5, because the filter inside is impossible to be cleaned 100%.
Okay. And the other thing that I want to show you really quickly is if you'll turn it back on for us, because with our last one, while it was great and it would pump out 40 gallons per hour, it was flipping loud, right? And of course you had to have the generator on. But this thing is shockingly quiet.
Should I run it?
Yeah, please.
That's the feed pump. It's the pump that's feeding the system with salt water. So it's taking the water from the sea, sending the water to the 5 micron filter, and from the 5 micron filter goes to the high pressure module.
But I mean, that's so quiet.
This unit is 100 liters, so 25 gallons roughly, and use only 400 watts.
That won't even make a dent in our battery bank.
Can you take off your microphone and put it by the machine?
Yeah. Okay, I'll put it down by the pump because that's the loudest part. You can hear like the clicking. Okay, so then my next question, most common problem that somebody calls you up with, what is it?
A wrong installation turns in problems, an issue.
Well, we're going to hope that HH does a really good job in these.
I'm going to check the installation later on.
Okay, so it would have, but even still, right? Because maybe somebody installed this at home, or they were a DIYer, and because that would certainly be us.
So the pump needs to be below the water line and have a positive pressure on. So it means always floated by water.
Okay.
Like any other water makers, they don't like air bubbles in the circuit because when you pressurize air, it becomes a problem.
So let's say we're on passage and our boat will actually move at a pretty good clip. Do you recommend not running it while we're sailing?
What is important is the size of the intake, and the scoops should be sized in the same.
Okay, easy enough. All right, so that would be one thing. What would be something else that might be a common problem that somebody would incur?
As for any other systems or equipments, the electronic part is the most delicate.
Okay.
We have few sensors that they can stop the machine in case of failure, but if sometimes it's the sensor that is failing and taking a bad values.
Okay.
So you can easily go on the display while the machine is not running, bypass switch and bypass valve. In this case, all the sensors are bypassed and the unit will run in a kind of emergency mode.
Okay.
And it will tell you. You see, everything is orange now. Just a reminder that be careful, you don't have any sensor working. In case of failure, the machine will not stop. In case of critical failure of the electronic parts, you have a complete manual bypass. There are a lot of customers doing the Atlantic crossing or long sailing, and we need to be sure that they can always use the system in any condition.
Yeah.
The only critical failure is the pump pad. If this fails,
then you're game
you
over.
need-
You need another pump then.
but in your case, we supply an extra pump as
Oh,
a
really?
spare part.
Ah, okay. So then we will have a backup in case we have a problem.
We suggest always to have a backup pump pad. It's not so expensive, it's easy to be replaced.
Otherwise, we've got bypasses, electric and manual, so we can get past it and keep making water and then fix the issue later. I like that. Okay. And you just don't know what questions to even ask sometimes, right? Because you don't know until you know. So I feel like we'll have to wait until we actually have a problem. But hopefully we never have a problem and I never have to come find you ever again.
Every equipment may have a problem, so if I will guarantee you that it's 100% trouble proof, I will lie.
Okay, because it's still a boat. All right, fair enough. Very realistic expectations. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. So our next stop is to take a look at the anchor that HH has chosen. So we have stopped by the Prop Speed booth, which also happens to be the Rocna booth. So this is the Rocna 2, which we are going to be getting on our boat, the HH44. And this is the new version, which we have not seen yet, but we've been told all about it. So this is our first time to lay eyes on it, and you're going to maybe give us a quick rundown on what the differences are.
So I know you guys know the original Rocna, and this is the complete new Mark II, which you can see has some new features. If you remember our Vulcan anchor, you can see that it's actually like a hybrid from these two, let's say, other versions of the Rocna. So now we have used the knowledge from 2004 up till now and make the IV shank all machine, so it's a very strong shank we have on this anchor. As you can see here, it's like a V shape. And also we have, instead of having the roll bar, we have now the roll foil, which also allows the anchor to sit easier and also to release it from the seabed when you want to take it up to your windlash. It doesn't leave any debris in here, any seabed sand or something like that.
Yeah, which can be a problem,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
with that real sticky mud. Yeah.
Exactly, and it actually can be tough to get it out, you know. Also, we have completely new fluke. It's all welded. There's no lid inside, so it's all metal. So you can see it's very.
This shape is very different.
Yeah, it's very different. It's actually similar to the Vulcan, but not really. So it's like I said, a hybrid. And we have, of course, a very strong tip, so it's reinforced.
This is new as well, right?
Yeah, it's new. So when the anchor is setting, you know, we have 2 set points. It's here and here, or otherwise vice versa, of course.
So just a little more grip, basically.
Yeah, exactly. The holding power of the anchor is, of course, unique. Of Vulcan, Rocna, and the Mark II, you will see that you can go both sides up with the same anchor. So it's very strong.
Yeah, well, this is what means that I can actually sleep well at night instead of, sitting up on anchor watch or being concerned. So looking forward to testing it out. That's for sure.
Perfectly. And of course, looking forward to get your feedback.
I'll let you know if I drag. You'll be the first to know about it. Well, that's super promising because we've been a little bit on the fence because HH was really passionate about using the Rocna because they've had such great experience with it in the past. And then for us, we've always had the Mantus and we always slept like babies. And we were like, well, but we really like our Mantus. But we kind of made the compromise and we were like, no, you're right. This new Rocna 2 coming out, we should give it a go. So we've gone with that, of course, by HH's recommendation, because don't mess with the pros, right? And then we are still going to get our Mantus and use that as our backup anchor and also just be able to do some side-by-side testing, which, because that's the best way to truly see is to get them both out there. So,
well, we came to this show looking for inflatable stand-up paddle boards, some emergency safety equipment, like life rafts, life jackets, stuff like that,
E-pervs. Yeah.
But we didn't really find that. It seems like this is a really good spot if you want to buy a boat because holy crap, there are a lot
So many boats.
of different boats here and getting to meet the people behind the products that are going on our boat.
Yeah, all the stops that we've made so far, like your Watermaker and the props and everything. It's just being able to actually talk to the owners, the engineers, all the main people are there at the booth.
Now when we have a problem, if we have an issue or something, you can be like, hey, we met at Cons, and it's instantly like, oh yeah. So hopefully that will help us in the long run. It was a really good show for that.
Yeah.
And getting to obviously get on the HH44, even though we really didn't film it.
No, but you're gonna get to see that soon. And speaking of sea trials start tomorrow, and the wind is already picking up. Looks like we've got some weather headed our way. So this is going to be a real sea trial.
I can't wait to see what breaks so I know what they can
exactly
fix on our boat.
We're going to get to actually see what she can really handle versus it will not be champagne sailing. No. I don't foresee that. But maybe we'll get lucky towards the end of the week and we'll get some of that too. So we'll see.
Anyway, that's the end of the show for us.
Yep.
We will see you on sea trials.
Yeah. Very excited.